another tutorial style video for you today, showing you how I put together these quick and easy little Christmas tree decorations, or they could be gift tags as well. If you didn't use some kind of acetate in the centre but did something solid or just didn't cut it into a frame, you could write on the back and use it as a little gift tag on a present as well. But I absolutely adore these loaded pocket embroidery hoops that came out a little while ago. There is rectangles, circles, squares, which is what I used for my decorations, but there is also an oval alternative as well if you prefer oval kind of shapes. I tended to like the symmetry of the circle and the square plus that kind of length of the rectangle as well, because it's gives you enough room to be able to add a kind of sentiment on there too, rather than just using the square. It gives a different sort of layout for your decorations on there. So any of these gorgeous embroidery hoops will work really nicely. I've gone for the smallest or the second smallest of the sizes. You actually get like 4 sizes, or some are just 3 sizes. The rectangle in particular has 4 sizes, and the way they work and the reason why you could easily turn this into a gift tag is this will cut you a solid piece with the embroidery hoop on the top. So you could, if you wanted to, cut this as a solid piece and have it on the back so that you could write to and from for a gift tag as well, or you could do it as a Christmas tree decoration as well with a solid back, because you could write a lovely message on there, or specify the year, or write down the year and say the ages of all the people in the family or something, so it's something easy to kind of remember year after year maybe. But you do also get the sort of layering die that goes on all of the different sizes in all of the different shapes as well. So for mine, I actually just put the 2 of them together and cut them out to give me my little shaped or little frames, and I have cut them into silver and into this gorgeous sea salt green. I think that's the right name for it now. I'm always getting the name of this wrong, but I love this colour. But yeah, I thought I'd just show you the actual dies as well. So those are the main dies that I'm using to create these little decorations, and I'm going to put together a large circle and a small square to show you how I put them together as well. They're really easy to put together. It is like a lovely quick and simple kind of little decoration. Maybe you're, I know it's not quite time to decorate your Christmas tree yet, but maybe you're thinking about, you've seen some bits in the shops and stuff and they're not quite the right colours, but you've got some cardstock that's the perfect colour to go with your colour scheme on your Christmas tree. You know, you could do this as a kind of alternative, and it saves you a little bit of money as well, because you might already have these dies in your stash too. So those are the main sort of frame shapes, and then to make it simple for adding the decorations on, I decided to pick out the Let It Snowglobe die set, which actually did originally come out with a stamp set as well. So if you have the stamp set too, which had some adorable little animals on there, including a little dachshund that I think had little booties on as well, you could, depending what kind of style your Christmas tree is, have the cute little stamped characters on some of these as well. But I wanted to use this set because not only can you do that gorgeous snow globe with it, it's also got lots of other bits and pieces in here as well. It has this beautiful bell icon, which I've used on all of my decorations. It has this lovely piece here, which has got loads of different snowflakes and stars all in one piece, so you can just run it through once through your machine in a few different colours and get all of your little decorations in one go, which I love. And then it also has a sentiment in there as well, which says Let It Snow, which we will need to cut another one of later, so it's not in the die set. But I thought I'd pick this die set because it's got so many different elements in there that you can easily use, and it gives a different kind of look. I mean, if you have a massive Christmas tree, or if you want to do some kind of decor for your mantelpiece perhaps, or your sideboard that matches your Christmas tree decor, you could take the snow globe, the rest of the snow globe pieces, and do this same kind of frame idea, because you have a circle die in there to create the kind of frame. You could nick one of the little embroidery hoop tops off the top of this to make it look like it matches, and do a large like standing snow globe piece to go on the mantelpiece or on the sideboard next to your Christmas tree or something as well, and tie everything together too. So I thought it was quite a nice set to kind of use for this project. And then we're also using some of the Starlit Snowflake confetti, which has got silver snowflakes and also iridescent snowflakes in there as well. So they're clear and they've got that kind of greeny pinky sort of reflecting lots of different colours effect to them. I actually put them in a laminating pouch, and the lamination on this isn't the best because I was experimenting seeing if you could laminate a laminating pouch with an iron, and you can, but it gives this kind of frosted kind of look, which I quite like actually, so I left it like that. But you could definitely just put this through a laminator with your laminating pouch as well. But I was trying to think of an idea of how you could laminate a laminating pouch without actually having to have a laminator. So you can actually do it with an iron, but you just get this sort of mottled frosted kind of look to it. Or if you don't want to go to that effort, you can definitely just use some acetate and just strategically place your snowflakes after you finish decorating as well. Or you can go for the solid route if you don't want your little decoration to be see-through. I quite like the fact that you could see through it because you'll be able to see the Christmas tree behind it, and if you did have a lot of decorations on your tree, you could maybe even see another decoration through it as well. I thought that'd be quite a nice kind of idea. And then to go with that gorgeous sea salt green cardstock from Tonic, I also picked out the sage green ribbon, which is a 3mm ribbon, so it's perfect for tying the little loops for you to be able to put these on your Christmas tree branches, or you could also add little tiny bows with this as well to decorate more too. If you don't have this ribbon, you could definitely just use some kind of invisible thread or even just string as well, depending on what kind of feel you're going for. Maybe you have a more vintage kind of tree. The sort of natural jute twine would look fantastic for that, or just a white string would look fantastic on these as well, because it would tie in the white from the die cuts that I've used on here. And then also other cardstock wise, as well as that gorgeous sea salt green, I've used the silver pearlescent cardstock from Craft Perfect, which I think could be called lunar silver. Then I've also used one of their iridescent cardstocks, which is the Water Sprite green, and I have also used the silver silk cardstock, which has that gorgeous stripy effect to it, and I actually used it to cut out a lot of the embroidery hoops as well. I don't think it's still available on the Tonic website though, but it had been on offer for quite a while, so if you did have it in your stash, this is perfect. But if you don't, then just the normal chrome silver mirror card is fantastic as well, and I'm going to use that for the sentiment that I haven't got cut yet. So those are all of the elements to create these gorgeous little decorations. I'll just move all of this out of the way and then I'll be back to show you exactly how to put one together. So I've got all my little bits and pieces mostly all cut out in this little pot here. So for each decoration, you're going to need 2 cut from silver, because I actually made them double-sided. Obviously all of the decoration isn't double-sided, but it kind of looks nice just being white from the back. So if it did flip around on your Christmas tree, you've got the pretty sort of frame on the back of it as well, but you know, just slightly ugly with the back of the die cut. But hopefully it won't flip around on your tree, but just in case, I did it double-sided like that. So for each of the decorations, you're going to need 2 of them cut from silver, and I do recommend cutting or like taping your inner circle die to the outer frame die so that you can get this frame the same on all of the ones that you're die cutting as well. And then you're going to need 2 of them cut from that sea salt green as well. And we're actually going to remove those top pieces so that the silver one shows through. Then we're also going to need our little piece of acetate of some description, whether it is just normal acetate that you stick the snowflakes to, or whether it is some kind of laminating pouch that you've had fun experimenting with, putting bits and pieces inside it for the interior kind of portion that allows you to stick all your decorations onto the hoop as well. Then I have also cut out some of the bells ready. I haven't poked all the pieces out yet, but for each of the decorations I was using 2 bells and layering them on top of each other. The top one is from the Pearlescent silver card and the bottom one is from that Water Sprite iridescent card. So for this decoration I've got those 2 bells already cut out, and then because this one is larger I want to put that Let It Snow sentiment on there. So I've cut one from white and I've poked all the pieces out of that one, and then I've got one cut from the Pearlescent silver cardstock, which I was trying to keep all of the little pieces of, but it looks like I have lost one. So I might just go with the silver showing behind when we cut this one in a second. But the way I was doing it is this one in particular, I shadowed the white with the silver cardstock, and then this one I actually had the pearlescent silver ones to put back in, but I seem to have lost this one here, so we might not be doing that on this one, but you can definitely do that if you want to do a difference in the colours. I know snow would normally be white, but I felt like the sentiment would stand out better if it was white, so I made the snow silver, but it's a different kind of take on it. And then this one, I actually, the shadow layer, which was the silver silk cardstock, all of the pieces stayed in, so I put glue behind them to really hold them in place, and I just shadowed it, and then you've got the silver silk showing through as the snow. So I might do that on this one, having the normal silver chrome cardstock showing through, as I've lost one of the pieces for the other one. And then for the smaller version, which we're also going to put together, again, we're going to need 2 cut from silver, and then 2 cut from your colour, which my colour is the sea salt green, and then a little piece of acetate just to go inside that little square portion of this one. Then again, I have cut the 2 bells to go together and shadow on top of each other, and then I've also got a little mixture of those gorgeous little snowflakey elements from the Snowglobe die set where it cuts out all these different ones. I've cut it once from the pearlescent silver, once from white, and once from that gorgeous water sprite iridescent cardstock as well. So I've got all of these to sort of choose from to decorate the frames once everything else is stuck onto them. You can kind of add these decorations afterwards if you feel like there's an empty spot or a mark that you want to cover up or something. You've got all of these kind of little elements to decorate that as well. So I'll put all of these down to the side, and then we will die cut that other sentiment that we need for the circle decoration. So if I move all of these pieces out of the way, we can bring the tangerine in, and I'll zoom you out as well. And then we can put our sentiment on here and then run this through to cut it out. And hopefully all of those, yeah, all of the snow pieces have stayed in place there, so we should be able to use those on this one. So I'm going to leave that to the side so I don't lose those pieces, and we can start sticking together these ones. So I'm going to work on them simultaneously, so by the time we finish we will have 2 decorations, one of each size, because I'm sure if you were making these at home you wouldn't just be making one for your Christmas tree, you'd probably be making a whole set of them so that you could disperse them nicely across the tree. So first of all, we want an embroidery hoop. If you've ever used one, it's normally wooden with a metal piece up here, and it usually has like a twisty bit as well to be able to open and close the hoop and stuff and make it tighter and everything. But for this simplified version, it kind of looks like a pocket watch actually, but we want to keep this piece at the top silver to go with that sort of like metal hardware kind of look. So on the green ones we want to snip that off. So it's pretty easy to do actually with your little mini snips. You can just follow that curve a little bit, and because this is like the focal element, if you hadn't snipped it off very neatly, you could put one of the other portions of the circle right up to the sort of point that you might be looking at, and then maybe hang off a decoration at the bit where you've snipped this off. If it's not quite so perfect, you could hang a snowflake off of there. For example, here I've hung a snowflake here and here. It wasn't to hide that, but it could have been. You could have twisted this round so the bit that you didn't cut was over the top here, and if the bit that you had cut was a little bit straight looking or you know, not quite so perfect that you wanted it to be, you could easily just hide it with a snowflake as well. But we want to cut these off of both the green ones for both of our little decorations. The square's easier because it is just a straight cut, but the circle's not too difficult because it's only like 5mm or less holding that little piece on, so it's pretty easy to cut off. Then we want to stick our green or coloured frames to the silver ones. So we're just going to put a little bit of glue on the back of these and just stick them onto our little silver ones so that that top silver bit is showing through. Then we want to repeat this for the next one. And when I die cut this silver one, actually, it looks like that tiny piece there didn't properly cut, so I can just snip that extra piece off so it's not going to show. And we've got our 2 little square frames. If you didn't mind about them spinning round and showing maybe a slightly uglier side on the other side, you could literally just do the one version of the colour with the one version of the silver, and actually just save yourself a little bit of time, or create double the amount of decorations with the amount of die cuts as well. So you can change it up how you want, but this was just how I made mine, because I really like this colour at the moment, and it will go really nicely with my Christmas trees, with some of the baubles that I got the last couple of years. So I thought this would make a nice little extra sort of addition to go on my Christmas tree. And I was thinking, if I wanted to, because they're handmade decorations, I could even, with a white gel pen or a silver gel pen or something, write the year that I made them on here as well, just to have something that you kind of remember what year that appeared on the Christmas tree. It's quite a nice idea to do that kind of thing, especially if little kids made something as well. You know, you can actually put the date on there, which is nice. Then we're just putting glue on the circle section here, so not on the little loopy part, just the circle section. And then you can decide where in your bit of acetate, if you've got the stuff inside it, where you want your ring to kind of frame. And we'll do the same for the square one. And then we want to leave those to dry so that we can easily cut the excess off without the frames popping off. So we'll leave those to dry for a second while we shadow the little bell die cuts that we've done. So I still need to poke out all the little bits and pieces on this one. If you wanted to, you could keep those interior pieces from the bells and give them a different colour as well. Or if they stayed in the bottom one, you could just put the outline over the top and still have the bottom colour on the interior of the bell as well. I quite like just the outline shadowed on top of each other. So we've got those 2 for one of the decorations, and then these 2 for the other one. Okay, so we've got all of our little die cuts now. I'll zoom you in a little bit further, and I want to put the silver one on top. So I'm going to put my glue on the back of the silver. You don't need too much glue, but you kind of want to get a little bit everywhere so that everything is going to stay nicely stuck, especially with all the little intricate areas. I like to tap the glue off on the back of my hand, and then we can just shadow those. So you've now got that tiny little bit of the water sprite iridescent cardstock showing through. Then we'll do the same with the other one, so we've got one for each of our different decorations. And I think I'll leave the sentiment until last, when we've actually got the decoration ready, so that I can save those little pieces that are in the snowdrift part of it and make sure they get stuck onto the acetate. But there's our second little bell cluster. Then we should have given this enough time to dry now, so we can come back to our 2 little decorations, and we can take our snips, because they're really nice at cutting through acetate, and you can just snip up to the edge, or you can undercut if you want to. It doesn't really matter what it looks like on the other side, because we're going to cover it with another frame. And the reason why we didn't put any adhesive on that little sort of clasp piece is so that we can get the scissors underneath there, and we don't have to like fiddle around with cutting around that little piece. So we've now got our little bit of acetate or laminating pouch with the sequins inside in the centre of that one, and then we can do the same for the circle. Okay. So we've now got those 2 cut out nicely. Then we can just stick the other one directly on the back. And this time you do want to put glue on that little piece, the sort of like hanging loop at the top of it, because we want that to stick to the other one. Although it's not too crucial that it sticks down, because we are going to put a piece of ribbon through it, so the ribbon will technically kind of hold it together. But I was actually putting the glue on there just to make it nice and strong. And then we have got the basis of our first large circular decoration already done. And then we can just take the other square frame and put the glue on the back of that one. And dab off any excess, and then stick that on the back of the one we trimmed around. and then you can decide which side you like the best as well. So that was the front side and that was the front side. So I do quite like how I placed them on that. But if you wanted it the other way around, you can flip it at this point, which is nice. Then we want to add our decorations. So for the circular frame, we want to take our bells, and I placed it on the top left corner, and I did quite like that placement. And then to make sure your sentiment's going to fit, you can have your you know, just die cut one for now that we haven't shadowed yet, and you can just place this and see, do I want the bells to be underneath it? Do I want the bells to be over the top? How do I want to sort of place them on? Would I rather the bells be on the opposite side? You know, you can do whatever you like, and you can place your elements dependent on where the little snowflakes are in there as well if you want to, but I do quite like it on the left hand side for this circular design. So you can put a little bit more glue on here and then stick that on. And for the square one, I quite liked it again actually it's more to the centre section. I decided on the square one, so my glue is sort of leaking out my bottle, but we can put a little bit more glue on this one and stick this one down. Okay, so now we've got our sort of bell element on both of our decorations. Now we need to go ahead with the shadowing of our sentiment. So let's bring this back in. So we've got our die still attached to the cardstock there, and we want to try and gently take this off so that we can prise the die out. And yeah, we didn't get all the pieces of snow, which is a little bit annoying, but we can piece them back in actually. So if we shadow these two together, we've still got the large piece of snow still in there, but if we shadow these together, we can actually, it might be easier. Yeah, I think it might be easier actually. Okay, so we're gonna have our decoration upright like this, and then we're actually gonna just take the silver one. I think I was just lucky the first couple of times that all the bits stayed in the die cut, and obviously when you're filming, all of the bits fall out of the places that you wanted them to stay in, because that's just the way everything goes. So we will stick the shadow on first, and actually that gives you a kind of look of what a silver sentiment would look like. So if you wanted a silver sentiment, it does actually stand out decently well. I just feel like the white would show more from a distance, but we want to put these other bits of snow back in, so we can just fill those little cavities with a little bit of glue, and then we can take those tiny little pieces out of the die cut and place them into the silver die cut sentiment. So we're sort of picking them out of the die. Often you can pick them out with your hand. If you just press against it, you can just pick them out, but if not, you can use one of those sticky pickup tools. That one's not coming out as easily. Nope, doesn't want to come out. So if in that case, if it's not coming out, you can just poke it from the other side, and then you can get it out that way. And then we can just place this one back in. You can definitely do this with tweezers if you'd rather. I just find it easier just to do it by hand, but I know some people struggle with picking up tiny little things, so tweezers will be your friend for putting those little bits back in if you want them to be in there, because you don't have to keep them in at all. I just quite like the look of it. And then we're going to shadow the white one over the top. So we can put a little bit of glue on the back of here. Again, trying to get a lot of the little areas, because this has got so many little fiddly bits that poke out. It's quite nice to sort of catch all of the areas, so it's going to stay stuck nicely. And then we can just shadow it just slightly, just so that we see the silver drop shadow around the word, and then we'll definitely see the silver showing through the snow areas as well. And the great thing about putting glue onto mirror card, actually, it's very slippery and slick, so you've got a little bit of time to manoeuvre it around and get it to be the perfect sort of shadow that you want it to be. So we've got our little shadowed sentiment now with the snow infilled with the silver. And then the last step, or the second to last step actually, is to add our little snowflake decoration. So I'm going to follow what I did on my previous ones, because I do like how that one turned out. So I think I've got all of the same elements here to put on. I think I tried to pick all of the same ones. So we're going to go with a larger white snowflake, and we're going to stick that in the centre of the bell. Then we're going to put a tiny little silver star in the centre of that. Then we're going to go with a small iridescent snowflake and put that in this bottom corner, and that could be hiding a little mark or something if you want to, or I mean on this one it doesn't actually matter so much about hiding that little cut because it was such a simple little cut across, but if you did have a mark on there, or you know, whatever happens as you're crafting, you never know what's going to happen, like a fingerprint or something. These kind of little elements are perfect for hiding anything that happens like that, and then we can just put a little white one of those in the centre. And then the final decoration on this one was one of these little pointed stars with the cutouts in that silver sprite, not silver sprite, water sprite colour, and I think I want that to sort of stick over here. So we've got those die cut snowflakes. I'll come back to this in a second and add some confetti snowflakes as well, just to add a few more extras than what you can actually see in the acetate or in the laminating pouch as well. And then to finish off this one, we are going to put a little white snowflake on the ribbon of the bells. Then we're going to go with a larger water sprite snowflake and put it up over here. And this is where it could be hiding the little cut from snipping that piece off as well. If you didn't do a very good job of it, you can easily hide that. And then we're going to put a little silver one in the centre. And then over in this corner, we're going to put a larger silver one with a smaller white one on there as well. And I seem to have one extra little silver star, so I might as well just put that on somewhere. Let's put it in the centre of that snowflake actually, on the bells there. So now we've got all of our die cut snowflakes, we can go back in and add a few more of our confetti snowflakes, or if you just use plain acetate, this would be the point to add your confetti snowflakes. So these are the gorgeous starlit ones, which actually have silver and clear iridescent ones in, but if you didn't have these and you already had the Let It Snow collection of confetti that came out quite a while ago, that just had the silver snowflakes in, and that would work really nicely. Or if you're going for a completely different colour scheme, you might have gold snowflakes or white snowflakes in your stash from somewhere else as well, and you could definitely add those on too. So I'll follow the same thing that I did for the other one, and I'm going to put a little dab there to put a silver confetti. Then I'm going to go up here and put a clear confetti. And then other than that, it's literally just looking at where you have confetti. Like I feel this could do with another one, so I'm going to put a silver one there. And then if I look up from above, I can kind of see it a little bit better. I feel like I could put a clear one on here actually, it would look quite nice. So I'm just going to pop one of those on there, and I think that looks quite nice with the sort of distribution of confetti on that one. And then this one, a lot of the actual confetti is behind that main focal element. So on the original one, I put a clear one up here, and I put a silver one over here, and I put another silver one down here. But I feel like we need something else in this area too, so I'm going to put a clear one in there. I know it seems weird putting clear on clear, but it has got that iridescent kind of effect, and when the glue dries you won't see that little blob that's there, and you will just have that gorgeous iridescent like you can see in the background here. So that is all of the decoration on our little Christmas tree ornaments. Or they don't have to go on a Christmas tree either. They could hang in the window as well, just as an extra little decoration, or on a door handle. Maybe you could put them on the fridge with a magnet. All sorts of different ways that you could use a gorgeous little decoration like this as well, or the gift tag kind of idea. But for these ones, to finish them off, because I am going to put them on my Christmas tree, I've got that 3mm sage green ribbon, and I'm going to take a piece of ribbon that is, let's say, 6.5 inches. I do always just eyeball this, but I did just measure that piece before I cut the first one, and it's about 6.5 inches. So if we go with that kind of a measurement, you're going to get a lot out of this as well actually, because this is 5 meters long, and if you think there is at least 36 inches in a metre, that's 36 times 5, plus there's extra in that as well, so you're going to get a lot of these little pieces out if you were going to do a whole load of these. But with this little piece, we're going to thread it through the little loop that's on there, which is nice and sturdy because we doubled it. Because we've got the silver on the front and the back, it does make that loop a lot sturdier as well. So that's quite a nice idea for, or quite a good reason for adding that double kind of effect. And we're literally just going to put it through like this, and then just take the two of them together and tie them in a knot. And you can do this to whatever kind of sized loop that you want. So for the smaller ones, I was going for a slightly smaller loop, and then I'm just trimming off those little tails there as well, so that it would kind of hang closer to the branch. I quite like short looped things when I'm hanging them on the Christmas tree, because they hang nice and close to the branch that you put them on, rather than like dangling halfway down the tree. So that is that one all finished. And then for this one, I think I'm going to do a slightly larger loop, so probably the largest that you could get out of this 6.5 inch piece of ribbon. So we're just going to, again, tie the knot, and if you're not quite far enough up, you can just sort of push the knot up as you're pulling it tight, and it will sort of move further up the ribbon, and you can pull that really tight and snip off any excess. And then you've got your loop on this decoration as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video, seeing in real time how I put these little ornaments together. They're just a nice sort of like quick and easy little project to put together. I'm not sure how long it's actually taken me to put them together, but I know I've done all the die cutting ahead of time, but if I wasn't talking as I was putting it together and showing it to the camera and everything, it would have been a lot quicker to assemble. Obviously I'd already made 4 of them, and I don't think it took me more than an hour to put all 4 of them together, so including the die cutting as well. So it's a pretty nice and quick sort of decoration to go on your Christmas tree. And don't forget, you can make them in all the different sizes. You can go for ovals as well, not just the 3 shapes that I've used too. Or you might even just have nesting dies in your stash that you could use to create something similar to this. If you wanted a different shape, you could nick the little hoop off of one of the embroidery hoops and make a hexagonal little decoration as well. It all depends on what your taste is, how you decorate your Christmas tree, and all that kind of stuff as well. And even if you wanted a heart-shaped one or an asymmetrical shaped one, you could hand cut bits and pieces too as well. So yeah, I think it's just a really cool little idea as a decoration too. So hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again in the next video. Bye!